Chances are, if you're over the age of 16, you've received a speeding ticket sometime in your life.
We've all been there, maybe once or twice. But besides not speeding, is there a way to avoid getting a ticket, Mike?
Yeah, we want to help you out in that area. So here's what we did. The KSL investigators analyzed tens of thousands of speeding tickets to show you when and where you're most likely to get tagged with one. That glimpse of flashing lights, that glance in the rear view, and that pit in your stomach. Yep, busted for speeding. And even if you don't want to admit it, have you ever gotten a speeding ticket before?
Oh, no, not ever.
We all know.
It's like nerve-wracking, like, oh my gosh, you know, how fast was I going?
What this feels like.
Hi. Officer Young, Unified Police, stopped you for speeding.
Ever wonder why is this happening to me? Well, let's be real. You know the why, but the KSL investigators wanted to find out the when and the where. So we drove into the data from 2018, analyzing more than 163,000 speeding tickets from 138 cities and counties across Utah. And here's what we found.
It's going 55.
When it comes to areas you're more likely to get busted,
Current 75 traffic.
here are the top 5 places that drivers were ticketed. Number 5, Orem. People are driving fast through there. Officers gave out 5,125 speeding tickets in Orem last year. Looking for an escape from winter? Southern Utah is a hot spot in more than one way. Drivers in Iron County got more than 5,300 tickets in 2018. And a little further south of Washington County, officers handing out 6,000 tickets.
It's demeaning-ish, actually, yeah.
Now, our friend Ken knows all about our next city.
In Sandy, going up 9400 south.
Sandy. It gets second place. Drivers there got slapped with nearly 10,000 tickets last year. And the #1 spot in Utah, the state's capital and most populous city, Salt Lake, where officers wrote nearly 11,000 speeding tickets.
Current 75, clear stop.
Officer Zach Young does not work for Salt Lake PD, but says the high number makes sense.
I think it all has to do with not so much as how many violators are in your area, but how many officers you have looking for those violators.
But what about those towns that don't have a lot of officers? Some often accused of running speed traps. Well, we dug a little deeper to find out which cities and counties give out the most tickets per capita. Well, they're smaller. Places like Wellington, Big Water, Monticello for cities, and for counties, Emory, Garfield, and Juab are high on the list. But the place that gives out the most tickets based on population is a tiny town of Manaway. It was the only area to give out more tickets in 2018 than it has people living there.
See the front end bounce because they tapped their brakes. They saw me and went, boom. Uh-oh.
Okay, so we've taken care of the where. Now let's tell you about the when. And what most drivers think,
You know, I always assume that at the end of the month they're trying to fill a quota.
is almost always
Probably more towards the end of the month.
the same.
You know, we always used to hear that end of the month cops would be out a lot more.
However, out of more than 13,000 tickets we checked from last February, more tickets were actually filed in the first week of the month, and it gradually went down from there.
Oh, it surprises me.
Does that surprise
Yeah,
you?
again, what do I know? Yeah, it does surprise me a little bit.
As for the biggest day of the week, we did a deep dive into nearly 3,000 speeding tickets from this time last year. And our data shows Saturday is the most popular. And when it comes down to the month,
I would say maybe like the summer months, because I feel like people are like more like reckless then.
well, most people think it's in the summer,
Oh yeah, summer for sure.
including traffic cops.
I don't know what it is about summer, but it's a crazy time for drivers, and so that's when we're going to be out there stepping up our enforcement.
But when we broke down those tens of thousands of tickets, the busiest month in 2018 was not actually in the summer, but rather the spring, with March having the highest number of tickets, 16,000.
If anyone's speeding, it's usually the people at the front of the pack.
Hey, and just one more thing. The question every driver wants to know, is there kind of a buffer zone? Is there a speed you can safely go above the limit without getting a ticket?
I guess my zone is probably like 7 or 8.
5, 10 if I'm like really late.
It's okay to go about 5 miles per hour over.
Well, there's good news and there's bad news. Officer Young says yes, he has a buffer zone.
So me personally, I'm looking for 13 over, so.
But every officer is different.
51. It's your lucky day.
For him, it's not so much about the driver's apparent need for speed.
My end goal is to change people's driving behavior.
It's more about the need for safety. And until you slow down,
Hi, Officer Young, Unified Police has stopped you for speeding.
well, you can get used to that glimpse of flashing lights, that glance in the rear view, and that pit in your stomach.
Hey, man, just drive safe, all right?
All right, so we also asked Officer Young if there are any reasons he lets people out of a speeding ticket. You know, does crying or being extra nice help out? He said there are 2 excuses he never writes people a ticket for. Listen closely here. 1, if they're going to the hospital, and 2, if they got to go to the bathroom.